Sairam. With the divine blessings of Bhagavan Sri Satya Sai Baba, we welcome you to episode 2 of our show, InSaider Lens, bringing you the eyes on the news. In this special 10-episode series, we will embark on a journey of different cities and their spiritual significance, and how we can connect the spirit of these cities with Swami's teachings. This is Soul Network, and I am your host, Vidya Krishnan. For tonight's top stories, we are reporting from the city of Dallas, Texas, the largest landlocked metropolis in the United States. We'll start with the holiday that is upon us, Halloween. The pumpkins and fall colors remind us of the fun annual tradition of dressing up and eating candy. But we'll dive deeper into the inner significance of Halloween. We'll give you a brief update on the ongoing relief efforts organized by our devotees in Region 10, the South Central region, after the recent Hurricane Ida disaster. This week, there is also the release of a study guide titled The 9 Gems, in honor of Swami's 96th birthday. Our main story tonight is a segment titled Eyes of the Heart. This is a fun, interactive crafts presentation by the Sri Satya Sai Baba Center of Dallas. Finally, our on-site reporter, Sai Shreya Naguri, will take us on a journey of Dallas and the city's events that tie to our spiritual journey. Halloween has its origins in the festival of Samhain, among the Celts of ancient Britain and Ireland. They would light bonfires and wear costumes to ward off ghosts and evil spirits, marking the beginning of the dark, cold winter months after the fall harvest. Catholics soon evolved this holiday to All Souls or All Hallows Day to honor the dead on November 1st. Soon, the day before was known as All Hallows Eve or Halloween. It's important to note that death and rebirth are an important part of the cycle of human life. In the ancient tradition, it's a way of shedding who we are and rebirthing ourselves after that by honoring the deaths that we've experienced throughout the year. This doesn't only mean the literal deaths of our loved ones, but also those versions of ourselves that have grown and changed to become who we are today. Our next story focuses on Region 10's disaster recovery response after the devastating effects of Hurricane Ida on August 29, 2021. The storm was a Category 4 Atlantic hurricane that became the second most damaging and intense hurricane to make landfall in Louisiana. A core group consisting of members of the National Disaster Relief Team, Region 10 officers, and volunteers from across the regional centers have come together to support the needs of the community. More recently, they have decided to transition the service into a national effort. Several members of the core group from Austin, Dallas, Houston, and New Orleans have made multiple trips to Louisiana, driving over 7 to 9 hours each way, in order to assess what items are most needed to help those affected by the storm. Based on the needs assessed by the core team during these scouting trips, an essential supplies list has been put together. So far, they have delivered supplies to 2 communities in Louisiana. The Sai volunteers will make 3 additional trips to the area to serve the community, including distribution of supplies during Halloween, Thanksgiving, and Christmas. For the convenience of shipping and tracking, Amazon.com wish lists have been created for the supply drive. To learn more about this initiative, please reach out to your center service coordinators or send an email to service@satyasai.us. 2021 is the year we celebrate the 96th birthday of Bhagavan Sri Satya Sai Baba. The theme of the celebrations is Divine Love is the Power and the Way, with online programs streaming during November 20th through 21st, 2021. In the first half of the year, a series of 9 letters written by Swami were released to help us progress on our spiritual path. Part 2 of the 9 gems has been released with an additional 9 letters to continue guiding us on our path of divine love. Swami's life, his message, and his works can all be enshrined in one word: love. These divine gifts in the form of letters are saturated with his divine love, along with beautiful messages to lead an ideal life based on his teachings. And finally, applications are now open for the 2022 Sri Satya Sai International Leadership Program for Sai Young Adults. The deadline for applications is November 5th, 2021. We invite all Sai Young Adults currently serving or wanting to serve in any leadership role in the organization to participate in this program. Now, for the much-awaited results from the first episode's Connect Challenge. In the previous episode, we had asked you to share a song or bhajan that uplifts you during tough times. Let us listen and enjoy some of the sweet offerings.
Antaranga Sai, Anadhanada Sai,
Ayodhya Vihari, Shri Ram Ram Rama.
हे अनाथ नाथ साई, तुम हो अंतर्यामी, तुम हो मेरे भगवान.
जय पांडुरंग प्रभो विठला, जगदोद्धारा हरि विठला.
साई तेरे चरणों में कोटि प्रणाम.
साक्षात परब्रह्म साई, गुरुवंदना सत्य साई.
ప్రియలన్ని కార్తకే అంకితం చెయ్యాలని వేచి ఉన్నాము ఈ రోజుకే. ఓ నేస్తమా ప్రియమైన బంధమా, ప్రేమకు రూపమా మా అందరి ప్రాణమా.
What a sweet reminder that the Lord is our only true friend. We thank each and every one of you who took the time to record and share your personal favorites. And now, we have an exciting segment from the SEC Groups 2 and 3 children of the Dallas Sai Center, titled Eyes of the Heart. They take us on a journey through arts and crafts to demonstrate the divine power of love. Namrata Niranjan, Rupa Durjati, and Suja Josayam will share their reflections from the craft session with the children that creatively demonstrate the ways we can experience and spread love to nature, others, and ourselves. Come and join us.
Hi, Rupa. When did you come
Hi.
back?
Oh, I just came back a little while ago, about a couple of hours ago.
Oh, thanks for joining because we thought
Oh,
we
you're
can
welcome.
walk through what we went, our session yesterday. Had so much fun. So I just wanted to see if we can all get together and we can talk about it.
Definitely. I couldn't stop thinking about it the whole day today. Like, though I was away from town and all I could think was the project that we did with the children yesterday.
Yeah,
And wherever I saw, like, I'm like seeing everything with a new perspective now.
yeah.
So that was awesome experience yesterday.
And Namu, thanks for coming as well.
Yeah, of
I want
course.
to hear
I'm
your
happy.
thoughts on this, and I want to hear Rupa's thoughts on. I want us to just relive all the moments we had yesterday.
I think yesterday was so interesting. I literally came home immediately after we did this whole craft session with the kids, and I was like telling my family all about it, and I was thinking it went so great. The kids really surprised us in the best way. They were so engaging and so into it. And I know I had a great time. We were walking them through this whole process, right, of making this DIY bowl, and so I really loved that. I think it just gave them this sort of great chance to just have fun and do art, and I know I had a good time just watching them do it and hearing the reflections about that.
I know you said you told your mom or you were explaining it to her. So what did you tell her about the craft?
Yeah, so I mean, I'll just sort of, the way that I think the easiest way to sort of describe this, right, was, and I was telling her and I was telling a friend later actually about this, and I was describing that and I was telling like today, we made this really great do-it-yourself DIY bowl, right, with the students. And it was kind of my friend was asking me about it too, and I was explaining it to her, and she was like, "Well, did you like how many of these materials did you buy?" And I was like, "The best part about this was like the only thing you really had to buy was the special glue for this, but it was all items that we were able to recycle and reuse. So it was balloons, it was those gift tissue paper, this like wrapping paper and like gift tissue paper that you get whenever somebody gives you that gift. We were able to use that because I never know what to do with that, so it was kind of great that we were able to use that in our session. We had that special glue sealer, sort of liquid glue almost sort of thing that they were able to paint with and glue items on. And then I don't know what we had, like foam brushes there as well, right? So I think that was sort of a simple and easy craft that we were able
Right.
to do and
Yeah.
use with them.
And the
And
one
then,
nice thing about that was, anybody with different ages, we had different age children there. So anybody could pick it up and anybody could do it. And yeah, and I love the theme that we came up with is Eyes of the Heart.
yeah, and I think that was such a great like I think activity just to demonstrate that because it was something when I know we were talking about it with the students and sort of explaining to them, right? Like when we're thinking of eyes of the heart, what is that really referring to? And I know they had a lot of different ideas. They were like love and self-control and kindness, and I think we had some great responses like that we heard the students share.
Yeah.
And really, through this craft, we were able to sort of demonstrate to them the importance of right like loving others and loving nature and then loving yourselves at the end of the day, right? So
Yeah.
that was a great takeaway. I hope that they got.
Rupa, did you share anything with your son or daughter in any of the session at all?
Yeah, my daughter was not able to join the session, but like after I came home, I was telling her we need to do this together again. And one other material that we had yesterday was the leaves. And it's fall now, and like now, like I see the leaves fall in my yard, and now I don't look at them as like a chore that like I need to rake the leaves, but I'm looking at it as an art project that like we can gather up the leaves and then like use them to decorate the bowl because the children yesterday did take some. We had different kinds of leaves also yesterday, and they took them home. So yeah, like I was telling her about this and like how like we can just like use everyday things that like we normally don't use or throw away and create new things.
In addition, right, to the materials, like you can be really creative with the materials. It was just kind of interesting hearing from the students, like they can be creative with the use of these bowls that we're making, right? So
Yeah,
I know we were
yeah.
explaining it to them, saying like, yeah, you can have a bowl, right? Like, and you can place a bowl anywhere in your house, and it's never gonna go out of use. You can put it. I know one student was saying like, yeah, I'm gonna put my like secret candy stash in this bowl. And I was like, that's great. I'm just allowing that. But I really loved one student was telling me, he was just like, yeah, I can make it a hat. And he like was like trying to wear it. And I was like,
Mm-hmm.
wait for the glue to dry. But I was just thinking, I was like, I know Halloween is around the corner, so this is sort of a great, mini project for them if they ever want any help making their like costume. This is a great way to make a little hat for their outfits. So,
Yeah, yeah.
but I really like the way that, you can be creative with the use of these items, right? So,
Right, right. And
Yeah.
like this whole day, actually, I was reflecting on like even the materials that we use, right? The balloon and the glue and the tissue paper. And one thought was, and again, we talked about it yesterday as well, is how the balloon is our body and how we can see the tissue paper as our mind, and how we apply the glue is like applying love to the thoughts and our mind. And so yeah, it was nice, and it was really nice to see the children just catch on to that thought process and all the answers they gave. And I know, Namu, like you were actually interacting with them while Rupa and we were going around and helping them make the bowls. You were actually interacting with them and getting answers. So what were some of the answers they were sharing?
yeah, it was really interesting actually to hear some of their thought process going into this. Because one thing I asked, a good few of them, I told them I was going to go around and ask them trivia questions. So they knew to expect me
Yeah.
randomly calling them out and asking them trivia questions. And basically, but like one of the questions I just started off asking them was like, what colors did you pick even, right, to make your bowl? And so some of them they were like, yeah, I just picked whatever colors came, or I picked this color because it was calming, or it's my favorite color. And it was sort of something where we were able to sort of connect that. And I really liked the way that they were really engaging with this, but they were like, we were able to sort of connect that with understanding that, like, first of all, right, like art can be whatever you want it to be. So, we had this moment where we were all holding our balloons up, and I actually really liked this moment because, I think one student was saying, I messed up. I think I did it wrong. And I know we had another student say, no, there's no such thing as messing up. You just go with the flow, right? There's no such thing. And I'm going to take that student's advice, and I think into anything I do. The way she said that was really eloquent, actually. But I know we were holding up the balloons, and I was telling them, like, see, like, everybody has different colors. We all have different choices. We all have, the balloons or the bodies that, we're made up of, right? It's all going to look different. And so the colors that we're choosing are going to represent our uniqueness. And I think that's what we need to think of ourselves as unique, and not necessarily as, oh, this one is messed up or this one is pretty or that one, right? Like we never want to compare ourselves that way. And I'm hoping the kids got some sense of that yesterday, but I was reflecting about that a little bit afterwards the session and now today. So
And one thing when you talk about messing up, that's definitely one thing I was thinking about too, because even though the tissue paper was getting ripped or torn, because they're all doing this for the first time, even though it was getting ripped or torn, but hey, with this glue, you just brush more on, it just smooths everything out. So it's almost like when we have all these thoughts and everything, and then it's like when Swami, we have thoughts of Swami, he just smoothens everything out. So that's what I got from it. And I know, Rupa, you were also like going around and interacting with some of the children. While you were interacting with some, I was interacting with some. So what were some of your like takeaways that you got?
Like Namu said, like I straight away like noticed the uniqueness in like each and every child, because before they started the project, they were all given like we showed them how to do it. But then once they started, first they picked a different color balloon, and like even the tissue papers, like they gave a lot of thought into it, and they picked their own individual color. They changed their mind and picked a different color. But then when they started gluing together too, like they were, each and every person was doing it differently. Even when like I tried to, no, I think this is how you should do it, but like they wanted to do it their own way. And eventually like they were able to figure out like how to do it, like how the glue is going, how to apply the glue. That way, like you said, like smoothen out the tissue paper. But at the end of the day, like each of them went with a unique product, and they learned something. And one of the child was saying, "Oh, I had technical difficulties in the beginning because like the way he was doing it, it wasn't like he thought like he was not doing it the right way. But then like eventually, like he was able to like get like his bowl all covered up and do it." So that's what they learned, is it's okay to, like, again, going back to saying that making mistakes and correcting. And each one of us, even in life, even in spirituality too, like each of us have different paths to reach the same goal.
Yeah.
But it's okay, like we can take our own paths. Whatever works for us. Like we don't have to do something because somebody else has told us to do it. We need to find our own way to connect with God and follow the way of spirituality.
What an interesting session so far, and I can't wait to see the rest of these creations. But before we proceed, let's go to a short spiritual break, and then we'll get back to our SSE kids.
This segment is sponsored by Silexa.
Wow, such a wonderful bhajan. It has been so long since I heard it. I really missed the in-person bhajan session.
Don't worry, Aarti. You are not alone. According to the data I have collected, 99.99% of Sai devotees miss the in-person bhajan sessions.
You love your stats, don't you? But yes, I could believe your data. This pandemic has truly ruined people's life. I really miss my friends. I love them and really care for them. I can't wait for things to get back to normal.
Aarti, I know you are very close to your friends, but let me ask you this. Do you know who your true friend is?
Yes, Alexa. I think it's Jennifer. We have been extremely close since our 3rd grade. We haven't been in touch after she moved to Chicago back in 2015. I still feel that if we meet again, we will resume from where we left off things.
Jennifer is such a sweet friend. But do you know who loves you unconditionally for who you are on your better and your worst days?
Oh, I think I get it now. It is Swami. Swami is my true friend. No matter how busy I was, if I remembered him every day or not, Swami has always had my back. He has been the constant through thick and thin. You should be an SSC teacher, Alexa. You are very good.
Aha! Who do you think is the teacher of all the teachers? The road to a friend's house is never long. Make the distance shorter with Silexa. Now, available in Swami's birthday robe red.
Each student, right, when you give instructions, each one of them understand it differently. They understood it differently. And so it was interesting. One student, he was just, we said we have to put 4 layers. So it was interesting how, the child or the student interprets it. He put all 4 layers and then put next 4 layers, next 4 layers. And I'm like, wow, it's such an interesting way of using the instructions we give and how they interpret it and how they did it that way. So then I was trying to explain to him, do not put 4 layers thing. And so we tried to explain. I know Namu came and asked me, why don't we do 4 layers at once? Because you want it to be interfaced or interfused with one another. You want this interlacing of all the paper. You do 1 layer interlacing, do another layer interlacing. So that really got me thinking, wow, the student, the way he thought about it was, they said they had to put 4 layers, so let me just do 4 layers, then go to the next 4 layers. So they were not interfaced or they were not connected. So that got me thinking that, hey, just like how we have to assimilate in our society, and we keep saying the glue is like love, right? We have to assimilate in society and share that love with one another. So then that makes the society stronger, because if you just put those four patches, and when you pop the balloon, you'll just end up with pieces of four of those pieces, right? So that's what it really, I'm like, wow, if you really sit and observe, like, I'm sure there's a lesson to learn from every single child. And Namu, you were sharing about the colors, right? How they chose different colors.
Yeah, well, I did not realize that student had interpreted it that way, but I kind of love that he
Yeah,
did, because it also sort of, as a teacher, I feel like it makes me think about, am I, giving these instructions in a way that students are actually going to get, or, like, am I making sure that they're understanding what we're saying, right?
right. Yeah,
Something as simple as like put 4 layers on, you have to sort of be careful about the way that you're saying that. Or, we definitely, like, I know Sujanti, you had a demo and you were showing them how to do it, but it's all about, I guess, the way that we're conveying that message.
yeah.
But, yeah, that's the thing. I'm thinking about that, and I'm thinking about the tissue papers. And I think, like, I know early in our session, I sort of had walked them through, like, when we're thinking about the balloon as our body, right? Like, and we're thinking about loving others. Sometimes there's a lot of air in that balloon, right? What is that air? And we were connecting that to understanding the way that sometimes we experience negative emotions, right? When we're talking about loving others, and sometimes it's hard for us to love and express that love when we're experiencing jealousy and hatred and anger and all of those, crazy emotions, right? And then when we were able to, reflect and have them think about, well, you guys have 4 layers, 4 different colors of tissue paper that you've all chosen, right? I don't think I saw a single student who actually had picked maybe one color for all 4 of their layers. They all wanted different colors, right? And so we were sort of connecting that to this idea of, like, well, what is the best way for us to then ward off those negative emotions, right? What can we cover our balloon in and make it a positive experience and make it colorful, like all the papers that we have, and make it fun and, a great experience for us. And so we were talking a lot about just values that we can practice. So we can practice kindness, we can practice love. Somebody said self-control, and I was like, yes, we all need that. And somebody was saying, like, positive energy and mental energy, and like really great insights like this. And so it was really great to hear actually from their perspective, like, they know that, yeah, I should be practicing love, I should be practicing all of these great things. And as we were, as they were gluing on these tissue papers, we were sort of walking them through, right? Like, as you're gluing these tissue papers on, right? Nobody, I did not see one person, do only one color. We all had different colors, and they were all, like, interconnected. They're all interwoven. So at the end of the day, we're ending up with this sort of patchwork almost of different colors. And I think that's the beautiful part about it, is that you don't have one value, you have multiple values. And I sort of think, like, connecting that back to SSE, that's sort of the whole purpose, right? We have not just one layer of these values, we have 4 layers, right? So we don't have like 1 year or just 1 week of life application that we're practicing, right? That builds up over time. And once we have all those different layers, then we're having a really, really strong foundation then for our bowl to be made, right? For ourselves to be made, if you will. So and I'm really glad. I really loved seeing how the students were able to connect that yesterday, and I think that they did a great job of, I think, shouting out things that I feel like as teachers we're always trying to impart to them, and I think it's great to hear that they sort of know, right? They already know. Yeah.
And I was really amazed how everyone, they were so patient, and and then while they got into a rhythm, it was like almost like they were so meditative and contemplative,
were.
and they were just, once they got it, like they were just going, and it was just a beautiful to watch that. Yeah.
And usually, like we see the children being very fidgety, and they're very impatient. Like if we tell them to do something, they don't want to do it. And yesterday, one good thing was like they spent some time without any electronics,
2 hours,
without any
hours,
complaining.
yeah.
And at one point, Namu wanted to ask them a question, and nobody was answering because they were all completely focused on like what they were doing. And going back to what Namu said earlier, like their answers were so like enlightening. When we were talking about like loving and loving everybody, one person said like, but what about bullies? Like when they bully us, like are we supposed to love them? And they themselves had the questions, and they had the answers too. And one of another child answered, but you have to think that maybe the bully is sad too. That's why they're bullying.
Yes.
So like their perspective on like everything was like so amazing. It was like really eye-opening yesterday. It definitely opened my eye of my heart yesterday.
Yeah, absolutely. And then another student brought up about strength, like, why are we doing this? And because I know initially we were explaining that love, and love provides us strength. And so one of the students, because I was observing each student and helping them out, one of the students, they were just putting on the tissue paper and just covering up the balloon. Because they didn't understand why they need to cover up every bit of the balloon and infuse the paper with glue. So I said, wow, again, that's another thing we need to we need to make sure they understand that they have to cover everything. And same thing for me, while I was thinking about it, I'm like, wow, that student, that's how they interpreted it. That we just need to cover up the balloon. So then once I explained that, hey, this is, you need to infuse it. So it's same thing, like, if we are completely infused with love, like we keep saying the glue is the love, right? That binds us all. If we are completely infused with love, it'll make us all stronger together. So that's one thing I was definitely reflecting on. Yeah.
So that sort of, it just helps them. I know this is sort of the analogy that we were giving them yesterday was, the balloon is our body. The tissue paper is our mind or our thoughts, right? And the glue is love, right?
Yeah,
so I think that's such a beautiful way to tie it in, that love is it's going everywhere, and it is, should be in every part of our minds. It's connecting everything at the end of the day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And one thing I know, they really, really got excited when we were getting ready to, pop some of the balloons, right? We got some, they really, really got excited. So I know, like, did you all have any observations on that?
Oh my gosh, they were so ready to pop the balloon. Before I popped, I really tried to stretch this out for them before I popped it, and I know they were getting very antsy about it, but I had to ask them before I started, because I was saying, like, one of the, I heard a few complaints as we were passing around balloons at the very beginning of the session. And I know one kid, I had to ask him, I was like, I know you weren't happy with the color balloon you got. And I asked him, I was like, what color balloon did you get? He was like, I got red. He didn't want red, he wanted blue, and somebody else took the blue balloon. But then, the balloon that I was about to pop, we had a prop, we had a balloon all ready to pop, because theirs is going to take some time to set overnight before they pop theirs. But we had a prop balloon, and so I asked them, well, this balloon that we see in front of you, what color is it? And it was pink. And when I popped it, I think that was like the best moment for them. They all loved it when we popped it. When I popped it, and then I took the balloon out, right? And what's left, the tissue paper there was actually white, the glue itself was also white, and we had this great little candy wrapper design that Sujanti had actually added onto the balloon, so it was like a nice little decor item. But we took the balloon out, so I asked them, I was like, okay, well, we started with a pink balloon, but what color is our bowl at the end of the day? They were like, oh, it's white. So I was saying, like, like it doesn't matter what color balloon we're starting with, that physical body or whatnot, if you want to connect it that way, right? That in the end, we're all the same. So I think that was something that I think was sort of an aha realization moment for a few of them. They're like, oh, at the end of the day, our mind is there. We're all practicing these layers and layers of values and the sadhana and whatnot. We're all connected with that love. And then when we asked them, it was like, everything that we've done today, it's like a sort of a metaphor for something, right? So, the glue stands for something, the balloon stands for something. And then we asked them what the brush stands for. And somebody got it. They were saying like, God, Swami, and we were like, yeah. So like we can think about it that way too, right? Swami's guidance is also like the brush. It's his hand. So he's the one guiding us at the end of the day, making sure that we're spreading that love, to others, to nature, to ourselves finally. And so I think they really enjoyed that. And then we had more balloons for them to pop. And so they were excited to see that popping in action as well. So
and they were also very excited when you actually take out the balloon, the inside of the bowl is like really shiny and smooth. They were all like and they wanted to touch the balloon, that wanted to touch the bowl, inside of the bowl, and like they were feeling it. And one thing that I was thinking about it later is that like that smooth surface was reflecting light. So like as part of our sadhana, like we want like the combination of like our thoughts and everything and love and Swami's teachings and everything come together, and like we ourselves should become a reflection of Swami's love. So that's one other thing that I was thinking about, like what the bowl can teach us.
The interesting part was I said, hey, do you think it's going to be easy or hard to cut this? Because it was pretty tough. The bowl itself, when you knock on it, it's hard, right? It's hard. They said, yeah, no, it's going to be tough. It's going to be tough. And sure enough, you can just cut through it. So that's the beauty of, the beauty of this craft was it provided us so many learning moments. And also it's tough with all combination of the paper and the glue. That's it's strong. Not only it's strong, but it's also flexible. So that's one thing we were telling them, that hey, you can be strong by being flexible as well. And so that's one thing I was remembering from yesterday.
I feel like whatever we had planned originally to share to them, I know we had our own thoughts, right? We were saying, like we can make this connection. We obviously want to underline the spiritual purpose. We want to highlight that this is a great Go Green activity for our students, right? But I feel like whatever we planned sort of was like, it just was better than what it was expected, It was. And I think because the students showed, I feel like more so that I think that's the thing. I feel like in SSC, it's like no matter what lesson plan you sort of go in with the day, I feel like the students have their own lesson plan. They'll teach you. And I felt like we were definitely taught. I felt like I was the student yesterday.
The thoughts. The thoughts and the connections that they made, and like, wow, I would have never thought about it. Like it was like really like I know we were trying to teach them a craft and like try help them to connect, but then I think at the end of the day, I'm the one that like learned a lot of lessons yesterday from the children.
And they just totally immersed themselves in the craft, just like the tissue paper, totally immersed themselves. And they came out with such beautiful insights and answers. And that's right. Like, definitely opened my eyes of the heart as well. Yeah. Absolutely.
This session was such an insightful experience to us all. When we first started the day, we introduced the concept of the balloon as a representation of our physical selves, or our body. I had explained how the air inside the balloon could be representative of some of the struggles that we face as humans, some of the negative emotions that churn just below the surface. If the balloon is our body, or a more tangible representation of who we think we are, then what is the air inside of it? And more importantly, how much of that pressure do we let build and build up until the balloon pops? And when I asked the students this, what negative emotions do you sometimes feel? What is being pumped inside this balloon? They resonated with that. And they said jealousy, anger, annoyance, hatred. And they realized how difficult it can be to spread and show love to other people when we feel those negative feelings under the surface. And they pleasantly surprised all of us with how easily they understood that and more, with one student even pointing out how we should be showing love not to just our friends, but those we don't consider friends, our bullies. Because in his words, we don't know how they're feeling and what they are going through. With this show of understanding and empathy, we journeyed deeper towards opening the eyes of the heart and talked about how we can make an impact not just on others, but on Mother Nature as well, by recycling, reusing, and repurposing materials that come our way. Using this creative and compassionate lens, students were ready to cut up these papers even more to serve as decor and use fallen leaves as the finishing touches for their masterpiece. And we reached a beautiful moment of realization when we got to that final step of popping the balloon. As I explained to the students, it does not matter what color balloon we start with, because the balloon, or our body, is just a tangible understanding that we have of ourselves. Ultimately, we are left with what has been built upon that foundation. We are not the balloon, we are the bowl. So with time, perseverance, and love and patience for ourselves and our journeys, we are patchwork layers, interwoven and made of love. And as the students' eyes grew wide viewing the popping of the balloon and the final result, which was this beautiful, solid vessel of their hard work, the eyes of their hearts expanded as well to realize the love that they could exhibit, embody, and that encompasses each and every one of us. Swami calls us Prema Surupalaras, or embodiments of love. We, the bowl, could not be made without our values, tissue paper, Swami's guidance, the brush, and the final substance that glues and holds us all together, love.
What a wonderful session organized by Namrata, Rupa, and Suja. We hope you learned something new today and can replicate this activity with your own children or SAC students. Swami says, art is from the heart, and the children have demonstrated that through their creativity and insights. I think we all got to see the eyes of the heart. For this episode's Connect Challenge, let us reach out and connect with our community. Think of a close friend or acquaintance you have not contacted in a long time. Use the link on the screen to share your response to the question. In one word, what do you think is an important quality that sustains a good friendship? We will present these in our next episode. Have a wonderful time connecting. Before we move on to our final segment, Learning About Dallas, let's listen to the public service announcement for today.
The COVID-19 pandemic has had a major effect on our lives. Many people are without jobs, a roof over their head, or even have access to a meal. Local shelters and soup kitchens are always looking out for volunteers to help the families in need. Reach out to your local shelter or soup kitchen today to see how you can help. What are you doing for your community today?
My motivation is always the same. It's my love and joy for food, and it's the passion of sharing a wonderful meal. The craft of cooking connects the hands, the head, and the heart. And cooking for others can be an act of love, but it can also be an act of self-love too. Make yourself important enough to cook for, even if you're alone. Starting to cook always means for me putting on my apron. A lot of people ask me for a special tip in the kitchen, and I tell them to put on an apron because it is so simple and it makes you feel different. You instantly feel like a chef. To me, my apron, it's like my uniform of love.
Welcome back to our special edition of Insider Lens. We'll now go to our on-site reporter from Dallas, Texas, to take a look at the city and its significance.
Thanks, Divya. Let's talk about Dallas. Dallas is known for a lot of things, including the Dallas Cowboys and their love for sports. One less popular fact about Dallas is that it's got the country's largest park system. Another fact is that it's also got the country's largest art system. Dallas is known for a lot of things, but it's most known for its great people. Compassion flows through the veins of Dallas. Many organizations help set and spread the message of love, compassion, unity, and friendship. One organization that comes to mind is Compassionate DFW, whose efforts are into promoting a compassionate cultural environment through diverse initiatives like Compassion Conference and Compassion Games. Another organization that comes to mind is the Native American Business Association, an advocacy group that acts as the voice for Native American businesses and helps in empowering and connecting them. We've talked about compassion. Now let's talk about the spirit of friendship and loyalty and how the city of Dallas has exemplified that. Through the sister and friendship relationships, Dallas has been able to strengthen its relationship with the international community. For instance, in 2011, when an 8.9 magnitude earthquake hit the east coast of Japan, through the Dallas-Sendai Sister Relationship Agreement, hundreds of sponsors from the Dallas-Fort Worth area were able to send in funds that made a big impact on the rehabilitation efforts. The same agreement also built a path for the Dallas-Sendai Young Ambassadors Program, which focuses on creating an environment that understands the different cultures between the youth of the cities. Through this perfect example, even to this day, we can see that cities of Texas have been able to stick to their state motto of friendship and loyalty. Finally, let's talk about our very own Psi Center in the city of Dallas, which has a rich history of spreading love in every aspect and adoring Psi. Members of the Psi Center are united by the love for God and And center activities include group devotional singing, group study circles in Sai literature and sacred literature of all religions, service activities, education in human values, to name a few. The members of the Sai Center and the Sai Center have always been a congregation of love, unity, and devotion. And one of the joyous methods of expressing these attributes is through annual festivities like the Akhanda Bhajans. The Dallas Sai Center and its members have also constantly risen to help out the local community and their needs. The city of Dallas has a lot to offer in terms of bringing the people together, and the events that happen here are a perfect example of how Texas and its cities, even today, are keeping up to its state motto of friendship across international boundaries. I hope you enjoyed these little events updates from Dallas. Back to you, Divya.
Thank you, Shreya. And thank you to all our viewers for joining us on tonight's special edition of InSaider Lens. As you can see, this has been an incredible journey for the spiritual traveler to experience the many amazing things going on in Dallas, Texas. In fact, many believe that the name Texas is derived from a Caddo Native American word meaning friendship. A true friend possesses 4 inner traits that could also be seen in the state's flag. Blue stands for loyalty, white for purity, and red for bravery born out of sacrifice. The Lone Star stands for our unity of God, state, and country, but also independence and self-reliance. Having viewed all these elements in today's episode, it is evident that the historical, spiritual, and cultural significance of Dallas, Texas is alive and well. We hope all of you enjoyed taking this trip through Dallas, Texas with us today. We'll see you next time on InSaider Lens. Don't forget to tune in on Friday evenings at 6 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Central, and 9 p.m. Eastern. This is Soul Network signing off. Until next week, stay safe, healthy, and well. Sai Dam.